ಚಂದ್ರ ಗೋವಿಂದ ಪುರಾಣ ಪುರುಷ ಪುಣ್ಯಶ್ಲೋಕ ರಾಧೆ ಗೋವಿಂದ ಪುರಾಣ ಪುರುಷ ಪುಣ್ಯಶ್ಲೋಕ ರಾಧೆ ಗೋವಿಂದ ಚಂದ ವೃಂದಾವನ ಚಂದ ರಾಧೆ ಗೋವಿಂದ ರಾಧೆ ಗೋವಿಂದ ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ. ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ. ಪುಟ್ಟಿ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಮೇಲೆ ದೇವರನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿ ಆದಿಕೇಶವ ಬಾರೋ ಕೃಷ್ಣಯ್ಯ ಬಾರೋ ಕೃಷ್ಣಯ್ಯ ನಿನ್ನ ಭಕ್ತರ ಮರೆಯಿಲ್ಲ ಕೃಷ್ಣಯ್ಯ ಬಾರೋ ಕೃಷ್ಣಯ್ಯ ನಿನ್ನ ಭಕ್ತರ ಮರೆಯಿಲ್ಲ ಕೃಷ್ಣಯ್ಯ ಬಾರೋ ಕೃಷ್ಣಯ್ಯ ಬಾರೋ ನಿನ್ನ ಮುಖದೋಳು ಬಾರೋ ನಿನ್ನ ಜಗದೀರೇ ಬಾರೋ ನಿನ್ನ ಸನಿಯ ಜಗದೀರೇ ಬಾರೋ ಅಂದುಗೆ ಪಾಗಡವು ಕಾಲಂದುಗೆ ಕಿರುಗೆ ಕಿರಿಕಿರಿ ಕಿರಿಕಿರಿ ಕಿರಿರೆನುತ ಅಂದುಗೆ ಪಾಗಡವು ಕಾಲಂದುಗೆ ಕಿರುಗೆ ಕಿರಿಕಿರಿ ಕಿರಿಕಿರಿ ಕಿರಿರೆನುತ ಪೊಂಗೊಳನು ಬಾಯಿದ ಪೊಂಗೊಳನು ಬಾಯಿಯ ಬಾರೋ ಕಂಕಣ ಕರದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಕಣ ಕರದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಪುರ ಹೊಳೆಯುತ್ತ ಕಿಣಿ 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 ಕಿಣಿರೆನುತ ಕಂಕಣ ಕರದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಪುರ ಹೊಳೆಯುತ್ತ ಕಿಣಿ 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 ಕಿಣಿರೆನುತ ಬಾರಯ್ಯ ಪೊಂಗೊಳನು ಕೊಡುತ್ತ ಬಾರಯ್ಯ ಬಾರೋ ವಾಸ ಉಡುಪಿಲಿ ನೆರೆಯಾದಿಗೆ ಜವನೆ ವಾಸ ಉಡುಪಿಲಿ ನೆರೆಯಾದಿಗೆ ಜವನೆ ದಾತ ನಿನ ಪದದಾತ Vada Udupi Vedayami Kedavane Dada Nina Padadasa Dada Nina Padadasa Nina Padadasa Dada Nina Padadasa Nina Padadasa Padadasa Varo Krishna Paramare Gita Krishna Paro We Paro Krishna
Om. Vagarta viva sampraktau Vagarta pratipattaye Jagada pitaro vande Parvati parameshwaro Vasudeva sutam devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki paramanandam Krishnam vande Jagadgurum Sada Shiva samarambham Shankaracharya madhyamam Asmadacharya paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Partaya Pradibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratita Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshiniim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayanim Ambatvam Anusandadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshinim Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkripa Tamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Hari Om. Okay, before we start today on day 5, originally I said there will be no class on 9th because I was to travel. That travel is cancelled now. Therefore, instead of finishing it on 10th, we'll finish it on 9th, which means we will have 3 consecutive days, 7, 8, and 9. I thought I will just inform you. Anyway, sir will put it in the group also, just to remind. Oh, you already put, okay, very nice. And on the last day, I have requested my guru also to come. He has kindly agreed to come. Yes, so that I requested, and on behalf of all of you, and he said he will come. Okay. Okay, before we get into today's shlokas, a couple of questions. Why was the internet of Maya created? Right? By God. This is an easy answer, because the answer for this is easy. The answer for my answer is difficult. If you have to create a world, you need Maya. So he created Maya to create Jagat Srishti. Now we ask him, why did he do Jagat Srishti? That is difficult to answer. So it's a two-part question. Why was Maya created? Only with Maya you can do Jagat Srishti. That's what we have been seeing. He says Gunatita and Daivi Gunamayi and so on. So I think the intention was, the question was, why was the Jagat Srishti happened in the first place? Okay, so I think it is a part of Bhagavad Leela, because this has been a question which has been always raised. for which sometimes we don't have an answer. It is a Bhagavad Leela. And it is an obstacle created by Bhagavan to himself or herself. That is the point. We may think we are different from Bhagavan. Bhagavan says that's why it is called Bhagavad Leela. Because I am multiplying, I am setting my own constraints, and I want to pass through that constraint, and then so that is why it is called the Jagat Srishti is a Bhagavad Leela actually. So that is what quite often people argue. There was another question: what is the difference between God's eye and his children's eye? Like when he says, I am everything in the universe, how can we not say I am everything in my own house? Very difficult to own a house and family and be detached with them all at the same time. See, you have to understand the difference between an Alpajna and a Brahmajna. The difference between the God also has ego. Only because of the ego, Jagat Srishti happened. Jagat Srishti is because of the Ahankara of the God. But the Uddesha there is very different. There is no selfishness and all that there. So the Ahankara of Brahman is of a different variety. Whereas the Ahankara of this Pinda, not the Anda, I am talking about the Pinda. The Ahankara of the microcosm, which is what we are, is of a different variety. It completely has forgotten original nature. So my favorite example is, as long as you don't see the mirage on the road, you have always felt it was water. The day you stepped near it and then found it was not a water, then you continue to see the mirage, but you know it is not water. So the Brahma Ahankara is with awareness. Our Ahankara is without awareness. So that has made a huge difference. Out of ignorance, in Mundaka Upanishad, there is a beautiful shloka. Andena nitamana yatandaha. Imagine a situation that there are 10 blind people who don't know how to go. Just imagine. 10 blind people does not know how to go. And one blind man comes and says, I will lead you. What will happen? Yata andena nitamanaha andena nitamanaha yatandaha. So this Alpajna's ego is like that. Whereas Brahmajna's ego is with awareness. It has full awareness of what is happening and what is being done. So that becomes a Leela. Whereas our ego is stooped in ignorance. In fact, ignorance, the other name for ignorance is ego. When the ignorance is gone, this ego is gone. This merges with the other ego. So that is how we need to differentiate between the small ego and the big ego. Therefore, when I say my family, I own everything, my family, there is a trace of ignorance in that statement. When the God says, I am everything, there is no ignorance. It is with an evolved understanding of what he is saying. That makes a huge difference in the Vyavahara that we do and so on. So I think that is how we have to understand these issues and so on. I think these were the two questions. Okay. So we will move on. If you remember, in the last class, we ended because yesterday, what happens one day if there is no class, students forget the teacher also. I have to remind the teacher also. I'm not saying you are that bad, you are much better. I'm just saying about my MBA students. So anyway, we say Chaturvidam te bhajanti mam. That's what we saw in the 16th shloka. Artha, Jignasu, Artharthi, and Jnani. That's what. So Sukriti, no, that's what he says. They are on the right path only. So we have Artha, and then we have Jignasu, and then Artharthi, then we have Jnani. So there are two ways to actually interpret it. One way is you take Artha first. This is what I did last time. You take Artha first. See, today I invited a doctor from Indore. till 4:30, he was in my class only. Then I went home, I took him home, spent some time, and then I rushed actually. I invited him to deliver a lecture in my Bhagavad Gita course. He is intensive care, head of the Department of Intensive Care, Apollo Hospital. Great Bhakta of Gita. So he gave a 90 minutes talk, and for every concept he brought from Gita, he brought ICU examples. So much he has internalized. So he talked about 4 bhaktas. I was stunned by his interpretation. So I told him, Doctor, today I'm going to go and talk about it. So he said, in his ICU, he finds patients who belong to all the 4 types of bhaktas. He said, first category is called Artha. He says, these are people who will remember us only during crisis. These are people who, smoke and drink. They come and they say, "No, henceforth I won't drink, sir. Please treat us." Exactly after 3 months, they'll come again. He says, this is called Artha Bhakti. He explains it. Only when you are in crisis, you remember. Otherwise, you don't pay heed to attention, etc. This is the first example he gave. Okay. Then he said Artharthi. He said there are some patients who will take n number of opinion from the doctors. They don't trust us at all. So second opinion, third opinion, fourth opinion, fifth opinion. So he says they are all Artharthis. They want to get the best out of what they are getting. They don't have trust. Every example he gave for 90 minutes was like this. He used several concepts from Gita. Then he says, Jignasu. Sir, this is another category. They actually don't do this 4-5 opinion and all that. They go by what we say, but in their face, very clearly, we know they don't trust us. So he is halfway, work half done. Jignasu. He said, they will go with what we say, but on seeing their face, we know that they are not trusting us fully. This example he gave for Jignasu. Then he says, Jnani. He says, sir, there are some ICU patients who come. He gives examples, plenty of examples. He says, we tell this is the prognosis, this is the methodology and protocol for the treatment. They put their hands together and then they say, please do, sir. Then this doctor makes another statement in the class. He says, don't think they are believing us. They are believing the God. This doctor says, when they put the hands together and say, please do, don't mistake. They don't trust us. Their trust is there. He says they are the Jnani patients. Like that, for everything he gave a very nice, example. But the point is, why is this gradation of bhakti? For example, an Artha. What will happen to an Artha is very, very, only in times of crisis you remember and so on. The Samadhana is like this. Samadhana is, he may start like that. He may start a very, situation-bound bhakti. But then the argument is, the samskara of bhakti will stay with him. Since the samskara of bhakti stays with him, he will graduate to the next level. Initially, his attitude will be like that. The second level, when he becomes Artharthi, sometimes, he'll say, Ganapati, if you have luck, you'll get 11 coconuts. Sometimes the Ganapati doesn't get 11 coconuts. But then by doing it, the samskara of bhakti grows in him. That is the point. He may be doing like that, but by repeatedly doing it, that bhakti samskara grows in him. So that's what Krishna is saying. That's why Sukritino, they are all well-intentioned. Gradation may be different. They are growing a samskara of bhakti. That is the message here. They are actually growing a samskara of bhakti. Therefore, they will never go waste. Na kaschit kalyana krit durgatim tata gacchati. All good efforts never go waste. As he said in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So that is why this gradation of bhakti is all fine. We don't have to look down upon somebody or something like that. It's a good investment. Maybe of a slightly inferior variety, it will improve. Over time, it will improve. But the investment is a good investment. It will carry us through. Therefore, that's why he said all the 4 are well-intentioned. Their efforts are well-intentioned. That's what he said. There is another thing. Some people say, Artha, Jignasu, then Artharthi. Why are you changing this order? Krishna would have never meant a wrong order. So the interpretation is like this. There's another interpretation for that. That Artharthi is Paramapurushartharthi, Mokshartharthi. So like that, all these different interpretations are possible. But the point is, there is no harm in any kind of bhakti. What is most important is bhakti. Because Jnanavan is going to say today, Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. We are going to see that shloka today. So it is very important that only by bhakti, the previous shloka he said, only those who show prapatti, mayam etam tarantite, emam prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. So bhakti is very important to get out of this whole maya and all these internet of maya, janma, etc., etc. That is why Krishna has now in next 3-4 shlokas, but today we are going to see shlokas where it is only about the lakshana of a jnani. 4 he said, Artha and Jignasu, Artharthi and Jnani. But then the next 3 shlokas, he is talking about Jnani's lakshana. Why? Because, I am a professor of management. I teach what is called operations management. We teach what is called quality. In quality, we only teach 0 defects. We don't teach 0.01 defects. We teach 0 defects. The goal of every organization is to go for 0 defects. That's what we teach. In the same way, the goal of bhakti is to become a jnani. So therefore, Krishna wants to discuss only jnani. All other things you figure out. I will talk about perfection. So the next 3 shlokas, he talks about jnani, tasya lakshana. What is this jnani? How does the Lord looks at a jnani? These are the next 3 shlokas in which we will see. So the 17th sloka, Tesham jnani nitya yuktaha eka bhaktir visishyate priyo hi jnanino tyartam aham sacha mama priyaha. Tesham means amongst them. So he talked about 4 variety now. The 4 variety he is talking. So amongst them, Tesham jnani. There are 2 lakshanas of jnani here in the first line. Amongst the 4, Artha, Artharthi, Jignasu, Jnani, Tesham, amongst the 4, of the 4, Jnani, Nitya Yuktaha. That is the first lakshana. Second lakshana, Eka Bhaktir Visishyate. He has a single pointed focus bhakti. Eka Bhaktir Visishyate. That's the first line. Second line he says, Priyo hi jnaninaha atyartam aham sacha mama priyaha. He says, aham atyartam priyaha jnaninaha. I am so dear to the jnani. That's what he says. Aham atyartam priyaha. For the jnani. Jnaninaha aham atyartam priyaha. That is the anvaya of the first half of the second line. Then he says, Sacha mama priyaha. He is very dear to me also. I am so close and dear or important, whatever you want to say for the jnani, but for me, jnani is very close and very, I like him. So like that he says. So what he is saying is, of the 4 bhaktas, jnani is nitya yukta. Okay. And eka bhaktir visishyate. What is this eka bhaktir visishyate? See what happens. Ramakrishna Paramahansa, some of the parables very nicely say this idea. A fly, house fly, it sits on everything from Amedya onwards up to the Prasada. Everywhere it sits. It's nature, no? Whatever is there, it goes and sits. Whatever is giving some smell, it goes and sits. So that's why we keep choosing, we put a lid and then close it, etc., etc. He says, Ramakrishna Paramhansa gives his example. A housefly will sit every place. Okay? Whereas, if you take a honeybee sits only on the flower. That's all. So, that is what it is. You see, in the name of bhakti, if we get too distracted, they are all the earlier type of bhakti. So Krishna says it's okay. He says it is not jnani lakshana. That's all he is saying. In the previous sloka, he has not condemned any kind of bhakta. Very clearly, he said 4 types of bhaktas are there. They are all fine because they are all work in progress at different levels. So that is okay. I don't have a problem. So he doesn't have a problem with that. The only thing he is saying is jnani will be focused. Eka bhaktir visishyate. So therefore, the Ramakrishna's parable is saying, one in bhakti matters, it is better to be a honeybee than a housefly. So that is the point of an example that he is saying. There is another example. If you look at an eagle, may be flying at a 3,000 feet, but its focus is, you should see how it actually looks at its prey and then the way it comes and then picks it and goes. That's another example given. That single pointed, concentrated focus that we must have. The question is, where do we have this focus? So a jnani will have a focus on the Lord, on that divinity. That is the Eka Bhaktir Visisheshe that we talk about. So for a jnani, there is only God. For jnani, Matta Parataram na Anyat Kinchidasi Dhananjaya, Mayi Sarvamitam Protam Sutre Manikana Iva has become an experience. Because people will ask, sir, if the jnani is so focused only on God, he will not be useful to the society. He will do nothing. That means we have misunderstood the notion of jnani. For him, everything is God's work, no? Getting up in the morning and brushing the teeth is God's work. Having a cup of good filter degree coffee is also God's work. Doing puja is God's work. Going to a office or samaja seva is also God's work. So never underestimate a jnani. There is this misconception. You become very spiritual, you become a jnani, you take your hands off and that's the end of it. You will do nothing. They are all bad, wrongly understood concepts. A true jnani sees everything as a God. So for him, everything becomes seva. There is no scope for disappointment. There is no scope for lack of recognition. There is no scope for me being not recognized, me not getting the benefits of what efforts for I have put. All those in one shot goes away. Because for him, everything is God. So therefore, a jnani will not keep away from work. Jnani is not something who sits 24/7 on a nishtha and then close his eyes and do bhajan. Nobody does it. Prakriti does not allow that kind of a thing. The greatest jnanis will be in the consciousness of God when they do things. In other words, see, you are now seeing something here. There is my video is also coming there. Now you see some message which is not going away anyway. Shloka 17, all that you are seeing. Okay. Maybe we are seeing only this much. You know what a jnani will see? Jnani will see the white screen also. Without the white screen, nothing happens. If you remove the white screen, we go for a movie. Talaiva, Ilaiva, some movie we are going, you just imagine. Latest names I have to give. I've not seen movies for years, but still I keep knowing what is going on. Okay. We go for a movie. In the movie, there is a big fire, but the screen never gets fired. Screen is the adhisthana. See, we see a 2.5 hours movie. After everything is over, there is a light on. What you see is only a white screen. Little we realize the movie is because of only the white screen. If the white screen is not there, what movie are we going to see? If this white screen is not there, there is a white screen behind this computer. Also, there is a white screen there. If this white screen is not there, you are not going to see anything. So, a jnani does not only see the movie, he is constantly conscious of the white screen. So I was just listening to one pravachan, a very beautiful thing that came to me. He said that Pravachaka said, he was giving a lecture in Erode or Karur or somewhere. He was staying in somebody's house. He was staying there. So they said, they asked him, sir, please come and see our puja room. In the puja room, there was one photo. They said, sir, please look at this particular frame. In that photo, there are so many, it's a god. I think it was Subramanya and, Palli Devayana, whatever, some god. But behind that, there was a mirror in which you saw your message, your image. That photo, that frame was like that. In some families, they have it. See, in my wife's family, they do puja only for a mirror. Do you know what is the Tatparya? You see yourself there and that's a god. In my wife's family, they put only a mirror and do puja. Aradhana is done using a mirror. That sampradaya is there. Because you should see yourself as the God. You are actually praying there, but you are seeing yourself. That's where that sense of oneness have to develop. So anyway, in this house, they said, sir, what do you see here? Of course, I see Shanmukha. Sir, please look at closely. Do you see anything? I also see myself there. That is a background. A jnani sees that. A jnani does not. So a jnani is part of the world. He will not run away from this world. He will not take his hands off. He will not cease to work. He will work with twice the vigor. For him, everything is God's work. Only the productivity will only increase. It will never come down. It will only become even stronger. His case becomes stronger. He sees, wherever he turns, he sees only God. That is the Lakshana of Jnani. That is what that Eka Bhakti is all about. That's what that Nitya Yuktatva. See, Yukta, the word Yukta, it has come about 8, 9, 10 times, I think, in Gita. Yukta, Ayukta, chapter 6, chapter 2, in several places you will find the word Yukta. In chapter 6, you will see it 3-4 times. Yukta hara viharasya, yukta karmasya cheshtasya, yukta swapnava bodhasya, yogo bhavati dukkha. The yukta comes 3 times there in that one sloka alone. This word yukta comes from a Sanskrit root yunj, you, basically you. Panini put a termination for some complex calculation. So the nya you can yunj, you can dugrinj karane, nahi nahi rakshate dugrinj karane. Dugrinj karane is not the dhatu. The dhatu is only kr. Panini has added a do and inj because there will be a rule which says if there is a dhatu which starts with the da, you have to fire some rule. Or if there is a dhatu, it ends with inj. That's why he is attaching. The real dhatu is kr. Kr dhatu, which is kriya. Like that, yun, it is you. Basically, the dhatu is only you. This yukta comes from you. It has 2-3 meanings. One of the most important meaning is connected. Yukta is one who is connected. I keep saying this. That's why in engineering terms, there is something called yoke. Y-O-K-E, yoke. 2 compartments of an engine are connected only with a yoke. That fitting is called yoke. So the English word yoke also came from yog. Yog also means connected. Connected with the, that's why it's called yoga. All those have come from one who is adept in yoga is called yukta. This is a noun of a verb, of a person. Yukta is a form of yoga. Yoga, one who is proficient in yoga is called yukta. And what do you achieve out of it? You should get connected. With what? With the Lord. So Nitya Yukta hai. Nitya means not daily. Nitya means forever. We use Nitya in a very common parlance as daily. Actual word Nitya means forever. Nitya and Anitya. Anitya, which is not forever. Nitya is ever. So when you say Nitya Yukta hai, Jnani is not only a Eka Bhakti, but he is also constantly connected. connected with the Lord. Now, our scriptures have told this in many ways. In Shvetashvara Upanishad, there is a nice, in chapter 4, I think, chapter 4, 13th mantra. It's a very nice Upanishad. This is what it says. Tvam Stri, Tvam Pumanasi, Tvam Kumari Utava Kumara, Tvam Jirno Dando Vanchasi. You are a male, you are a female. Tvam Puman Asi, Tvam Stri, Tvam Kumara Utava Kumari. You manifest yourself like a young boy or a young girl. Jirno Dando Vanchasi. You also manifest yourself as that very old person who is very weak and is having a stick and walking. Don't cheat me. I know you are everywhere. That's what that Upanishad mantra is saying. That's what that mantra is saying. Don't play a trick on me. You can come in any ways, but I will make out who you are. That's what that mantra is. That mantra says, Tvam Sri, Tvam Pumanasi, Tvam Kumara Utava Kumari, Tvam Jirno Dandena Vanchasi, Tvam Jato Bhavasi Vishwato Mukaha. There's a Mahanarayan Upanishad. In that it says, Vishwatas Chakshuruta Vishwato Mukha. The moment you say Vishwato Mukha, I remembered that. Vishwatas Chakshuruta Vishwato Mukho Uta Vishwato Uta Vishwato Taspat. He says, the whole world is your face, the whole world is your eyes, Chakshuhu. The whole world is your two legs. What it means is, wherever you turn, I am seeing you only. So our scriptures bring this concept 1,000 times. Sam Bahubhyam Sampadat Radyava Ptivi Janayan Ekadevaha. That's what that mantra ends. It says, wherever you turn, you are you only, but I am able to see you are only one. You may be manifesting in 1,000 ways. When that experience get into someone, when somebody is able to get that experience slowly, then he becomes Nitya Yukta, because this thought remains with him forever. That's why that is a Jnani's Lakshana. He says, the other thing that happens for a Jnani, see, sometimes, there is one thing which is evading us, all that. We don't understand that. We don't understand that concept, or we don't understand the principle behind something. I mean, I gave an example, that mirage. I never understood what mirage is. I always thought it was water and so on. But one day I went near it. When I went near it, the water disappeared. But then this idea that that can be a mirage, which will pose like a water, will remain with me until I die. That will never go, no? Water may go. I will continue to see the mirage. And whenever I see the mirage, this thought that there is something called mirage, mirage will actually show up like water. It is actually not water. All of them will remain with me. Jnani, when he discovered the Lord, that discovery will remain with him. You change the scene whichever way you want to see, change. That discovery will not go. He has already experienced it. So the moment he has experienced it, just like we experience, oh, this is mirage, means there is no water. The moment we experience it, any number of times it reappears, this thought will never go out of us. That's what happens to a Jnani. Once he experiences the godliness, it will remain with him. Whatever you do, you change anything, you bring anything. You bring a Rakshasa, you bring a Asura, he will see God. He will see nothing else. Because the thought has understood that concept. So the concept, that's another meaning of Nitya Yukta. It will remain, will remain like that. So that is why Krishna is saying that for that Jnani, I am the most sought after. Atyartam, Jnaninaha, Atyartam Aham Priyaha. For him, the only thing that he really cherishes is me, but he sees me everywhere. So his joy is unlimited now. That's the only thing he is interested in, but he is able to experience that in many ways. So many ways he is able to experience. Therefore, for Jnani, he experiences that joy, which evades us, which is very fleeting. We get a little bit here and there. Whenever we get that joy, that moments of joy are the moments of our experiencing godliness without knowing it. Because Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma, that is Anantam is Anandasya Bhavaha. That is the Ananta. That is Ananda. Therefore, whenever we get that sense of joy, for whatever reason, those are those small split moments in which we have experienced the godliness, knowingly or unknowingly. Because the very property of godliness is Satyam, Anantam, Jnanam. That's what it is. So the Jnani experience it continuously. That's what it is. That's why he says, Jnaninaha atyartham aham priyam. And he says, for the same reason, I am also very close to the Jnani. Sacha me mama priyaha. He is also very close to me. I also like the Jnani. So it is a paraspara. Devan bhavayatanena te deva bhavayantu parasparam bhavayantah shreyaha param avapsyata. Like that, I like him and he likes me. So it is a very paraspara bhava. That is what he is talking about in terms of what can be the lakshana of a Jnani. Okay. Udara sarvaye vaite Jnani tvatmaiva me matam astitas sahi yuktatma mamevanuttamam gatim. Sarve udaraha eva. The evaite, you have to split it. Sarve, the sarve actually in Sandhi becomes sarva. Actually, the ekara will go. Sarve ete, sarve ete udaraha eva. Ete plus eva, evaite. Eva plus ete, a plus a will become I in Sandhi. That's why evaite is coming. Udaraha sarva eva ete. That is the Padacheda. Okay. So the first half of the first line says all are good only. Why it is using the word survey? It is talking about the four bhaktas. The discussion is constantly in the four bhakta, but immediately Krishna raises the Jnani to another level. In all shlokas it is happening. In earlier shloka also what did happen? He said Tesham Jnani Nitya Yuktaha. He said all are good, but amongst them Jnani has some lakshana. Here what he is saying, Udaraha sarva eva ete. They are all good only. Udara charitaha vasudaiva kudumbakam. The Udara comes there in that Hitopadesha shloka. He says a cultured person will understand Vasudaiva kudumbakam. That's what Hitopadesha says. Udara eva vasudaiva kudumbakam and so on. So here he says, all are of good nature. The moment you have chosen to be a bhakti, you are good natured. That's the first line, half of the line. Then he says, tu means kintu, parantu. Tu atma eva jnani me matam. He says, they are all good, but I will tell you, jnani is, so like that he is taking him to another level. He says, all are good. That is the first half of the first line. Then he puts the tu here. Tu means lekin. But me matam, my opinion is jnani atma eva. I think the true atma is jnani only. So he says, he is celebrating this jnani, which is the state of perfection. That's where he is, repeatedly coming to. Asti tasahi yuktatma. Because he is yuktatma. Again, there he said nitya yuktaha. Here he says yuktatma, astitaha yuktatma. He is fixed. He is set only on that, nothing else. That is why he is so good. Astitaha. Stita is one state, na? Stita prajna we say. It is a state of unwavering kind of a thing. So astitaha, steadfast. He is in this only lakshana, only uddesha, nothing else. Astitaha saha, he is Yuktatma, Mameva Anuttamam Gatim. He is Uttamam Gatim. The ultimate goal to be reached, he just follows that and reaches me. Because of this single pointed focus, because of this steadfastness with which he is focused only on the Lord, he will reach that Uttamam Gatim, which is he will reach unto me. So that's what Krishna is saying, he will reach unto me. Now, this reaching unto me, the moment you say this, he is talking about bhakti. Actually, he started talking about bhakti and he classified, look at what is happening here. He classified 4 types of bhakta. And the 4th type of bhakta is called jnani. Whereas our common understanding is, we put bhakti in one compartment, jnana in another compartment. At one level, we think like that. Bhakti is all about, in a certain way, you pray the God. There is a requirement of the God in front of you and do the bhajan, etc. Like that, we thinking. But here, Krishna is merging that. What he is trying to tell here, he says bhakti, bhakta and uttama bhakta and jnani are the same. Now, how do you resolve this? Because we have a certain understanding of bhakta. One who does bhajan, one who is deeply, we do a lot of, bhajans, right? Because that is a very crystal clear bhakti. So the point is, Shankaracharya actually very beautifully resolved it. In his Viveka Chudamani, very beautifully resolved it in one of the shlokas, I think 32nd shloka. He says, Moksha Karana Samagriyam Bhaktireva Gariyasi. He resolved this apparent 2 conflicts. I will explain it a little more. He says, in our journey for moksha, Moksha Karana Samagriyam. Samagri is raw material, no? So, what is a good raw material for you to reach moksha? See, if you want to go fast to a place, going by walk is one type. Going by a 2-wheeler is slightly faster. Going on a car is faster. If you take a flight, it is even faster. So, for all these samagri, Uttama samagri is a flight. You want to go from here to Delhi. If you go in a train, it is going to take 42 hours. Whereas if you go in a air Deccan, even with a 2 hours delay, another 2.5 hours, you will be there. I actually like this air Deccan. Air Deccan was the cheapest, cheaper than Rajdhani Express. Rajdhani Express was 2,700 rupees. Air Deccan was 2,400 rupees to fly to Delhi. I used to fly. And people used to ask me, sir, why are you traveling in Air Deccan? It's 2 hours delay. I say, very good. I will carry my food, sit in one corner, finish all my assignments, correct all reports, everything Mahadevan is flying. Flight is anyway delayed. I will sit in one corner, finish all my work. And then with all that in 4 hours, I reach Delhi, 4.5 hours. So it's a Uttama Samagri to reach Delhi. Pay 300 rupees less and also reach in 4.5 hours instead of 42.5 hours. So like that, Shankaracharya says, he says, Moksha Karana Samagriyam Bhaktireva Gariyasi. The best raw material, the best method for you to actually attain moksha is bhakti. Then he says, Swaswarupam Anusandanam Bhaktihi iti abhidhiyate. So he defined what is bhakti. The ultimate goal of bhakti is Swaswarupa Anusandanam. You should reflect on your true nature. Bhakti must lead you there. The starting point of bhakti may be in a particular way, but the deep bhakti will actually take you to Swaswarupa Anusandanam Bhaktihi iti abhidhiyate. And that is what a jnani is. When jnani understands his true nature, and he understands this nature is what is the whole world is all about, he has reached moksha. So that's why he says, a bhakta and the jnani are same. Now, we have now reached the stage where Mameva Anuttamam Gatim Nitya Yuktaha Astitaha Yuktatma, Prapadyante, all these words are all pointing to one thing. And that is best explained by another beautiful mantra in Mundakopanishad. Mundakopanishad, after 2 chapters, the first chapter in Mundakopanishad is so beautifully structured. The first chapter starts by asking, Kasmin Vijnate Sarvamudam Vijnatam Bhavati. Tell me, by knowing that I'll be known of everything. That's the question. Shaunaka asked. Then Angirasa said, Para and Apara Vidya. Then in the first chapter, he talked about Apara Vidya. He said, if you do karma, you have to be very, very careful. Until karma will just finish you. Because the do's and don'ts are very tight. You do it. By following it, you will get Chitta Shuddhi and all that, but that is not going to take you far. So the second chapter talks about how do I get the jnana. In the third chapter, so there's a nice discussion in the second chapter. In the third chapter, there are nice shlokas. So one shloka I want to actually tell. Yatha nadyaha syandamanaha samudre astam gachanti namarupam vihaya. It's a beautiful mantra. I'll explain and then tell you what it is. Tata vidwan namarupam vimuktaha parat param purusham upaiti divyam. He says, just like a river goes and merges with the ocean. Samudre astam gachanti. Yatha nadyaha. All rivers, not one particular river. What is the lakshya of a river? Its utpatti will be in a mountain. But what is its lakshya? Its lakshya is to go and then join the river. That's why it is running at terrific speed. That's what this Upanishad mantra is saying. Yada nadyaha sandhyamanaha samudram aste gachanti namarupam vihaya. In the same way, Vidwan namarupam vihaya, this I-ness, that tags which belong to me. I am so and so. I am 5 feet 11 inches. I am a professor. I am Mahadevan. I am of this nature, this, that. All the tags will just dissolve. Namarupam vihaya purusham upaiti divyam. So it is that merger of your personality into merger of this ego into that ego, into the bigger ego. That is the lakshana of a jnani. Prapatti that is prapatti. That is the real meaning of prapatti. And that is what he is talking about. Now, Shankaracharya explained it even ultimate. He explained it so beautifully. Because people always say Shankaracharya is very dry, Advaita, Vedanta. No. Shankaracharya's bhakti, the way it pours bhakti, we cannot ask for anything better. All that you have to do is read one text called Shivananda Lagari. 100 shlokas pour bhakti like anything. Ultimate. The best of his ability to describe bhakti. So I want to take one shloka from there. There are very nice shlokas. There is a 9th shloka. Gabire, Kashare, Vishati Vijane, Gora Vipine, Vishale Shaile Cha Brahmati Kusumartam Jatamatihi, Samarpitesam Sarasija Umanadas Bhavate, Samarpekam Chetas Sarasi, Kimahina Jano. That's what he says. He says, people run all over the place looking for flowers. Gabire, Kashare, Vishati Vijane, Gora Vipine, tea forest. Vishale Shailecha Brahmati Kusumartam Jatamatihi. Samapaikam Chetas Sarasijam. You have a Chetas, you have a lotus in your heart. Why are you running all over the place? Umanata Bhavate Sukena Avastatum Jana Iha na Janati Kim Aho. Kim Ascharya. They are looking for flowers all over the place. They don't understand they have it. Is one shloka. Every shloka will be like that. But I will take one beautiful shloka, which is the 61st shloka in Shivananda Lagari. And I also say why it is 61st shloka. So there is a concept called Sashti Abda Purti. For all of us, what is Sashti Abda? Abda is year. Sashti is 60. Purti is complete. So what is Shashti Purti? Somebody has completed 60 years. What is the significance of this? The significance of this is, if you take our planets, they will go one full round. Our dashas, if you go one full round, the day you are born, you may be, Chandra Dasha or Rahu Dasha or Shani Dasha. If you want to come to that same starting point in your Dasha, it takes exactly 120 years. One full cycle is 120 years. So you divide it into two halves. First part is called 60. First 60. Be part of the world. Be part of the world. Be in Brahmachari Ashrama. Be in Grihastha Ashrama. Be a very useful person for the society. Do all that has to be done. After 60, what do? Get into Vanaprastha Ashrama. Again, it is not running away. It is not taking the hands off. Vanaprastha Ashrama means try to withdraw from the worldly things, but you be attached in the worldly activities. Phala prayojana, you have to take your hands off. Detached attachment. Be attached to the world. Be detached from many things in the world. That abhyasa we have to start. To make it, there is a big event. That is Shashti Purti. That Shashti Purti gives us that signal that once you have completed 60 now. Now there must be a change in your, continue to be part of the world, do things, but your perspective has to change. That is the Tatparya, according to me, of 60. And that is why Shankaracharya kept a 61st shloka. He said, after 60, you have to remember this. That is a significance for me, the 61st shloka. And this shloka talks about bhakti in 5 layers. Such a beautiful definition of bhakti. Ankolam nijabija santatihi ayaskanto palam suchika sadvim naija vibum lata kshitiruham sindhu saridvallabam. First 2 lines, 5 stages of bhakti are over. Ankolam nijabija santatihi. That is the first definition of bhakti. Because the shloka ends, sa bhakti rityuchyate. That is the 4th line. I have stopped with the 2 lines now. Ankolam nijabija santatihi. There is one tree called Ankola tree. You go to Yelagiri near Salem, Western Ghats, you will see the tree. That's what my guru told me when he taught this shloka to me some 20-30 years back, 35 years back. He said, I went and saw. There is one tree called Ankola tree. Shankaracharya takes that example. I don't know how Shankaracharya went and saw that, I do not know. He says, Nija bija santatihi. Bija santati. What happens is, imagine there are 2 trees. There's one Ankola tree there. There's another Ankola tree here. This tree is also shedding the seeds. Seeds are falling. This tree is also shedding the seeds. It's a big tree. So some of the seeds of this tree might have fallen here, very close to this tree. Both are Ankola only. Variety is the same. Similarly, some of the seeds of this tree would have fallen near this. It looks like the seeds will travel towards the tree. And he said the trunk is full of seeds. The bottommost part of the tree, the trunk is there, no? It is full of seeds. But the wonder is, this seed will not go here. It will go to its mother. All the way it will travel here. This seed which belongs to this tree, this may be the shortest. That's also an Ankola tree. But it will not go there. It will come to the respect. That's why Nija Bija Santitihi. The word Nija is to explain that. That this tree seed will come only to this tree. This tree seed will come to this tree. This is the first udaharana Shankaracharya gives for bhakti. Let us connect it later. First, let us get to know the udaharana first. And let's see how beautifully he connected the bhakti. So this is the first example he gives. Ankolam nijabija santatihi. Then he gives a second example. Ayaskanto palam suchika. Suchika is needle. Aya is iron. Word iron came from Aya. Sanskrit word only. In English it became iron. And they wrongly use I-R-O-N and all that. It should be iron, I-A-Y-N or something like that. Anyway, Aya. becomes iron. So the second example he gives is bhakti at stage 2 is like the magnet and magnetic needle. Suchika actually is magnetic needle. It is like the magnetic needle and the iron. See, he is now giving one more example. We'll see the exact meaning all that later. Ankolam nijabija santatihi ayaskantopalam suchika. 2 examples over. Then the third example. Sadvim naija vibhum. That highly cultured lady and her husband. That is the third example. Sadvi naija vibhum. That highly cultured sadhu lady and the husband. He gives that example as the third udaharana of bhakti. Then latakshitiruham. The creeper and the tree on which the creeper is climbing. That is the fourth example he gives. Sadvi naija vibhum is the third example. Latakshitiruham is the fourth example. The final example is Sindhu Sarid Vallabham. Sindhu is river. Sarid is the ocean. It says Vallabha, that's the husband for the river. So he gives 5 examples here. What is Shankaracharya saying here? Shankaracharya is saying, bhakti for every one of you will go only through this path. Now let us try to make sense of what are these 5 unrelated things he is saying. In the first one, the example is what is called Purusha Prayatna. The seed has to make an effort. The tree will not make an effort. Seed has to go. Tree will not move. Tree is deeply rooted. No tree will move. Right? So by saying Ankolam Nijabija Santadihi, Shankaracharya is saying the first stage of bhakti is Purusha Prayatna. You put your first foot forward. That's what he is saying. Purusha Prayatna. Then comes the second example. Ayaskantopalam Suchika. What is the example here? Here what happens? Either the needle can go to the magnet. The needle can go to the iron. Or the iron can go to the needle. Both ways it will get attracted. I call it as Ubhaya Prayatna. God says, Bhagavatam he says, you put 1 foot, I will put 10 foot. You only put 1 foot. We are hesitant so much to put the first foot. We are so much hesitant to put that first foot unconditionally. We put all conditions before we want to put the first foot forward in bhakti matter. What prayojana I will get, will it happen, this will happen, will I not get this, will I get my thing become better? Put your first foot. In Bhagavatam he says, I will walk with you. I will put 100 steps for you. So that is a Ubhaya Prayatna. Ayaskantopalam Suchika. Second example. Then third example. Why did he bring a husband and wife? Moment you bring an husband and wife, the differences start melting. You and I, the pure husband and wife, Dampatya Lakshana is, the differences are notional. They should feel one. See, I recently was listening to a lecture which I played to my students also. There is one Raj Vedam who studied in Indian Institute of Science. He is a professor. He is coming to meet me next in about 15 days. He gave a beautiful lecture. I was stunned when that video when I saw. See, in this country, for 8,000 years, there is an uninterrupted tradition which has been made absolutely meaningless. As we do every tradition without knowing meaning, we also do it, and therefore it's all become dry ritual for us. What is that? After a marriage, you are supposed to go and see Arundhati and Vasishta. He says it is an 8,000 years uninterrupted tradition. Today, the Purohit has no time, I have no time, you have no time. So we do it like a useless, you have to tick karna hai, na? 10 kaam karna hai, isi ko tick karna hai. That's all. That time also they are showing, that's why ticking. He gave us such a beautiful example. He said, what is the Tatparya here? Tatparya is, there is something called binary star. He used astronomy, pure astronomy. See, in stars, there are some binary stars, which means there are 2 stars which will only orbit. They are together. That's the first meaning of a binary star. There are so many binary stars in the galaxy. but there is only one binary star which is very special. And we named it as Vasishta and Arundhati. What is the speciality? In all binary stars, there is one main star, and the other binary star will go around it. All binary stars are like that. There is one main star, and there is the other star which will go around it. They both become a binary star. Only in the case of Vasishta and Arundhati, Vasishta will go around to Arundhati, Arundhati will go around to Vasishta. It is called co-orbit. So our life has to be like that. That is the idea of seeing Vasishta and Arundhati. The husband and wife must co-orbit. That is why he used that example in this Bhakti Lakshana. Sadhvim Naija Vibhum. You exist for me, I exist for you. This passing business doesn't, they are all poor Grihastha, but a lot of us go through it. Okay. I think a very nice, most satisfying Grihastha is the husband feels that I am for the wife feels I am for the husband, and there is some Paraspara. Princes are there all over the world. I am not talking about that, but that Paraspara Bhava is what Shankaracharya is talking. So what happens now? Slowly the identity begins to melt. That's the third stage of Bhakti. Purusha Prayatna, Ubaya Pratna. When you say Ubaya Prayatna, there are two distinct entities existing. There is something called a needle, there is something called an iron. We are still talking of two entities. Moment you say Sadhvim Naija Vibhum, the entities are slowly losing their identity. The identity is slowly becoming to lose. So that is the third stage of Bhakti. The God and I identity must start blurring. That is supposed to be the example in Grihastha Ashram. That's why he brought it. As a Vasishta and Arundhati. Co-orbiting binary star. Then he brings the fourth example. Lata Kshitiruham. What has happened? This creeper is hugely dependent. It has reached a stage of dependence. Without the tree, this creeper cannot have an independent existence. That is first Lakshana. Second Lakshana, the creeper actually merges with the tree. Many creepers, if you see, they become part of the tree. Still you see both. Nama Rupa Vidyasa ide. But they are almost merged. Right? That is the fourth example. Then he brought the ultimate example. Yada Nama Rupam Nadyaha Sendyamanaha Nama Rupam Vihaya Samudre Astam Gachanti. That is the last example Shankaracharya has brought. Sindhu Sarid Vallabham. He says, what is the ultimate stage of Bhakti? Completely you should merge into the Lord. Just like the river merges. I remember my Guru's lecture 35 years back. He says, because this river had only one Lakshya in its life, from the time it started in Himalayas or somewhere here and so on, it was running. You put a dam, still it was running. Because it somehow gathered momentum after the dam and started running. That's why you have 20 dams in Ganges, but still Ganges go to Bay of Bengal. You try to obstruct, I will still run. And because the river said, I will run, and I will, my only Lakshya is to reach you. So the Samudra Raja said, I will come 10 kilometers inside and receive you. That's called backwaters. You should go and see Godavari at Uppatisthana. It will be like a small little gutter that runs in front of us. No, it will be like that. Go and see Godavari in Rajamundri. You will be humbled. First time I saw it when I crossed in Coromandel Express, I was humbled. What is this? 1.5 kilometers, the bridge is going in Rajamundri. Whenever I see big things, I get humbled. For 2-3 days, nothing happens to me. I just destroyed. Because I regain how small I am, how worthless I am. That is why all these are kept. That's why you have a tall tower in South India. When you pass through the tower, your ego will just disappear. You stand and see. Madurai Meenakshi temple, as a child I grew there. Massive tower. Moment you enter into the tower, this experience I have been having like a child, from child even now. So huge, and then all your ego gets shattered into 1,000 pieces. So these such great rivers also get completely merged. So Samudra Raja says, I'll come 10 kilometers in and then I'll do this. Let's say the backwaters, Sundarban backwater is the largest in the world. Like Amazon. Why? Because two great rivers come there, Brahmaputra and Ganges. Both of them come to the same point. Brahmaputra, as I was telling, Brahmaputra is a massive river. Arunachal Pradesh, you go and see Brahmaputra, they talk coast to coast, not bank to bank. The two edges of the Brahmaputra is 11.5 kilometers wide. And there are islands. Ships go in Brahmaputra. Can you imagine? That river also comes to Bay of Bengal finally. Ganges also comes to Bay of Bengal. That's why Sundarban basin is very, very big. So that's the example Shankaracharya gives. Ankolam nija bija santatihi ayaskantopalam suchika sadvim naija vibum lata kshitirugham sindhusarit vallabam padharavindyo pashupate padharavindyo cheto vritti rupaya sa tishtati sa bhaktirit vichyate. He says, my mind, my cheta vritti is fixed on your padharavinda dvayam. Cheto vritti upeti sa tishtati sa bhaktirit vichyate. That's the definition he gives in 61st shloka. In every shloka is a gem. There's one shloka which says, Shankaracharya, what do I give to Shiva? So he tried. He said, let me give him some AC. No, there is moon in his eye, in his head. What AC I should give? Shirase Shitamsu. Charana Yugalaste Akila Shubho. I thought I'll give him something for his two legs. The whole world's Mangala is lying in his feet. So like that. Karaste Hemadrav. Like that, there is one shloka. So finally he says, what can I give? I will give you something which he doesn't have. He'll never say no. Bhavatu bhavatartam mama manaha. My manas, I will give it to you. Shivananda, every shloka has double meaning. You have to understand. When you say, I give my manas, that means you surrender. That's also the meaning there. But he puts it so beautifully. Kamartam daseham bhavatu bhavatartam mama manaha. He says, what can I give you? Okay, I'll give my mind because he may not have it. But the meaning also is, once I give my mind, I am relieved. That is the ultimate of bhakti. Anyway, so Jnani and Bhakti are same. That's why Krishna is celebrating like this. And that is why he concludes all these discussion of these three shlokas and Jnani with this shloka. What is he saying now? Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. So this state of jnanihood, we have to use the word jnanihood or become a jnani. Bahunam janmanamante. We have to make that effort. That's why the 4 grades are all there. That's why you start on the road. You keep going on the road. Everything will be fine. Keep going on that road. Everything will be fine. That's what he says. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate. That prapatti is the total surrender. Yata nadyaha namarupam vihaya samudre astam gachanti. Or sindhu sarid vallabam. Complete surrender. That is the lakshana of bhakti. Bhakti has only 2 pillars, Sharanagata and Prasada. Prasada Buddhi and Sharanagata Bhava. I mean, if we start practicing Sharanagata Bhava, it's not easy. Our ego will come in the way. It will never allow us to surrender, because before we surrender, it will ask 1,000 questions. Is it worthwhile? Is it risky? What will happen? These are all Ahankara's work. Is it a good way to do? That fellow surrendered and he became nowhere. All these. So the Eka Bhakti is not easy. But a Jnani's 2 pillars are only that surrender is the first thing. You should have terrific courage to surrender. When the doctor today told, Jnani is that patient who, when the moment the doctor said, this is the way to go and do the treatment, he puts his hands and go ahead. He has surrendered to the Lord. Only when we surrender, we will be able to handle things. The outcome could be anything. I'm not saying because you surrendered, there is a guarantee this person will survive. I'm not saying any of those. But what I am saying is any outcome, the Lord will give you strength. The Lord will give you enormous strength to take it. That is the value of surrender. That is the prapatti. That is why Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate. This practicing surrender, we can start with very little things which will not affect us. Should I, take masala dosa today or not? Make a small surrender. No, today no. Start from there. Or, should I have the second coffee? Make a surrender. Start with small, little, less costly, less risky items in life. But you have to develop this habit. This habit will not come just like that. That's why Vratagalo, Adike, Upavasa, what are all those are ways by which you develop that capability. What is Upavasa? I surrender my food to the Lord. Today I don't want. You take it. That's all. I will just give it up for you. So we have to make small little experiments in seemingly unrelated things. But that is the journey. For that small little step is a giant leap of faith. We will go forward. Let us not worry when we will go, but we will go forward. And that is why Bahunam Janmanamante. Let us not worry whether it happens tomorrow, next year, before I drop my body this year. Take out all those thoughts. Leave it to the Lord knows what to do with you. Lord knows what to do with your body, whether to drop it, keep it for some more time, everything Lord knows. Develop that attitude. Develop that attitude. We will live life more meaningfully. The problem with many of us is we are not able to live the life meaningfully. Because all these come in the way. All these come in the way. This is where the Ahankara is playing. It does all kinds of calculations for you. If you know how to switch off your calculations, life is a lot more easier. Lot more easier. We have to try. In fact, we don't even have to try. There is even another easy step. You pray to the Lord and tell him, please give me that capability. You make me try. Surrender at that level. You please make me try. I am so lethargic, you make me try. Krishna says, Bahunam Janmanamante, it is a long journey. Let us not worry about the journey. I think in Vedantic matters, in matters of self-evolution, I will tell it 1,000 times, not once. In all matters of self-evolution, which is only Lakshya for us. Day one, I said that. Only Lakshya for us is to discover our true nature. And in all such efforts that we do, there is a big difference between worldly things and that. And what is that? Never ask, when will I reach? Never ask, is the effort good enough? You only ask, are you on the right road? Don't worry about the speed. Don't look at somebody is going faster, somebody is behind me. I am happy, I am behind. Take out all of that. That is the most fruitful, practical journey in this self-evolution. We have to be only worried that we are on the right road. We should never be on the wrong road. That's the only issue we should worry. And the right road is Satsanga. Satsangatve nissangatvam, nissangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nischalatatvam, nischalatatve jivan mukti. Just to keep the Satsanga. Satsanga need not be physically here. It can be on your headphone for 1 hour every day in the morning. Hear some pravachana. It's also a very good Satsanga. Very practical suggestion. I am telling you, many of you can do it. 1 hour a day you listen. In 1 year, you see what happens to you. Dramatically, your mindset will change. Life will become more meaningful. It's not that I become a Superman. I will not become a Superman. I will not get some siddhis and all that. Because siddhis are like short circuits. It will short circuit the spiritual journey. Because you need a very different kind of capability for that. You have to just go through this path. Because to do siddhi, you have to reach a very high level. That everybody cannot, and we should not risk that. It's all the journey. The journey makes enormous meaning to us. That's why I am least bothered about Bahunam Janmanamante. That Bahu can be anything. In Viveka Chudamani, he gives a number. Shatakoti Janmabihi. Shatakoti is 10 power 9. Koti is 10 power 7. 1 followed by 7 zeros is koti. Put 2 more zeros because shata koti, 100 koti. And let us be very generous. We'll assume we live 100 years for each of the Janma. So put 2 more zeros now. So 1 followed by 11 zeros, human years. So let us not worry about big numbers and all. Don't worry. You do what you need to do now. Don't waste your time. Did it happen? Will I become reach bhakti? Don't waste time like that. Be on the road. Be in good satsanga. Revel in the thought of the Lord. Slowly it will grow. Let it grow, and one day, without our knowing, it just departs. And let it happen. So Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. He has fully experienced the law of conservation of divinity. He has fully experienced it. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Saha Mahatma. He is the true Mahatma. Saha Durlabha. He is 1 in a trillion. That's okay. We are in that journey. One day we will also become 1 in a trillion. That's okay. The thought will keep us going. So that is what Krishna says here. So these are Lakshanas of 4 Bhaktas, and a special praise for Jnani in terms of its Lakshana, in terms of what he will do, where he will reach, all those we saw from Shloka 16 to 19. Now he has said Bahunam Janmanamante. Now naturally the question comes, what happens in all these Janmas? That curiosity will come to us. What is happening in all these Janmas? Or what is the path in which we are going? So next 3 shlokas talk about it. In all the Janmas, what is happening and what is this Paramapada game that we are playing? Finally, we will reach the number 100 and reach it. So what happens in between? Sri Krishna wants to give some little ideas on that. Kamaistair jnanaha prapadyante nya devataha tam niyamamastaya prakritya niyata swaya kamaihi taihi. There are 2 taihi. Kamaihi taihi kritagnyanaha prapadyante anya devataha. That, for that, this thing is that, yes, we have that, no? Akara is in the Sandhi is gone to remind us that Avagraha symbol, that's called Avagraha symbol. So anya devataha. Kamaihi taihi kritagnyanaha prapadyante anya devataha tam niyamam astaya prakritya niyataha swaya. So what is this path for the Shatakoti Janma? The path for the Shatakoti Janma is our Prakriti. Our Prakriti is leading it. Okay? And remember, our Prakriti is made of the 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. So the composition of the Sattva, Rajas, Tamas decides what you will ask for. If your composition of Tamas is very high, you will ask for absolutely stupefying things. If our composition of this is so high in Rajas, we will ask for things which are very perishable, thinking they are permanent for us. Power, position, fame, money, etc., ego, ahankar, ability to influence, control, all that we will ask. God will give happily. If you ask with bhakti, he will give. But out of that, you'll find out this is not giving me the state of perfection. First day I said, we try many things to find out what gives us that state of perfection. This is a method of trying. This is a methodology of trying. So he says, Swaya Prakritya, look at the second line. Swaya Prakritya, all of us have our own Prakriti. That composition of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas is constantly changing because of how we deal with the world. If you have more and more satsanga, your tamasic component will come down. Your sattvic component can slightly go up. So therefore, you are a unique material now. So, Swaya Prakritya Niyamamastaya, how I will behave is my Swabhava and my Swadharma is a function of my Prakriti. That's what happens. That's what niyamam astaya. In line with your whatever composition of your personality, your psychic personality, which is a function of sattva, rajas, tamas, okay, you will actually prapadyante anya devataha. You think this is what you want, you will go there. I think I want this, I will go here. Somebody will think I want something else. There's all kinds of worship are there. In Chennai, I found one day I was going. I found one Pratyankara Devi temple. Gunny sacks after gunny sacks of red chili. These padarthas are never recommended in our scheme of things. When you do a yajna, in the ahuti, what you can put is restricted. If you are sattvic. If you are sattvic. But if you want some, there are a lot of tantric practices in the Eastern world. Oh, I went to, once some 15, 20 years back, I went to Kamakya temple. Good God, I made a mistake of going at 5 o'clock in the morning. First, there was blood going in the temple. Blood was going. Even today it is happening. Balidana, they give one tender thing I found. So, what I'm saying, I'm not going to pass any judgment on any of them. I'm not at all. Please don't mistake me on that. I'm not saying anything. I have learned to stay aloof in my life. I never make any of these value judgments. Because Krishna has said, each one of them have a path. I'm able to understand. If somebody shouts at me, I understand, oh, that is your prakriti. That freedom, that wisdom I have got. So 20 years back, if you shout, I'll shout back. Today, out of 100 times, maybe 3 times, 4 times I may shout back. That much Krishna has brought me. Because I realized, oh, you are in this path, God bless you. That is what will happen. So, tam niyamam astaya prapadyante anya devataha. And what is that niyamaha? Kamaihi staitaihi apahrita jnanaha. Your jnana is taken away by your desire. Because you are in that state. God bless you. Nothing wrong. God bless you. That's why in Sanatana Dharma, everything is God particle. Bhasmasura is also God. Only thing is that the proportion is so bad, he just became an ash. That's all. In God's scheme, everybody is there. But benefits are all different. Productivity is different. Everything is different. But in God's scheme, everything is God only. There are different levels. That's all. So we have to understand this reality. Please understand, in chapter 13 of Bhagavad Gita, there are 20 values. Amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa. There is one kshantihi. That kshantihi will come once you understand this. Nobody in the world will be 100% likable to you. Nobody in the world will like you 100%. This is the reality. 90%, 80%, 45%, 35%. That is the prakriti. Because why? Because each one of us have a different prakriti. So the chemistry will not work. Therefore, the biology also will not work. That is what it is. Okay? So that's what he says. Kama apahrita jnana, that jnana is gone. But Krishna says that's okay. You are still having bhakti, I will give. Ye etamam prapadyante tamstataiva bhajameham mama vartman vartante manushya apartha sarvasaya. He already told in 4th chapter. All roads, ano badraha kritavo yantu vishwataha, Rigveda. All roads lead unto me only. You may take a longer road. Please come. I am waiting for you. Please come. Some people take a shorter road. Please come. So nothing wrong. No value judgment. Krishna says, whatever you want, I'll give you here. Through that Devata, I'll give you. Next sloka is going to say that. So I'll skip this. Next sloka, I'll say. Yo yam tanum bhaktaha shraddhayartitum icchati tasya chalam shraddham tameva vidadhamyaham. Yaha yam tanum shraddhaya architum icchati tasya achalam shraddham tam eva vidadamyaham. He says, I look at only one thing in you. I don't care which God you are going after. I have only one thing to test with you. Do you have an achalam shraddha? Whatever you do you have an unwavering bhakti for that? That is why Shishupala will get moksha. He had an unwavering thinking of Krishna, even for a wrong reason. All the time he was thinking of Krishna. So Krishna said, you thought about me 24/7. I have to now redeem you. That is the compassion of the Lord. So Lord doesn't see ordinary people. What will you do? You worked against me. I will finish you. God said, you worked around against me for 24/7. I am not seeing that. I am seeing you are at me for 24/7. I give you. That is called that generosity of the Lord. That's why Shishupala was given mukti. So he says, you have to bring only one thing. Achalam shraddham. Unwavering. Chanchala madbardu. Achalam shraddham. Tasya achalam. Those people, ye asti. For all those people, if they bring achalam shraddha, which means you bhava purvaka you should do. Genuinely you should do. Whatever you want, do it genuinely. You reach unto me. So he is my agent only. Through him, I will give you what has to be given. They are all my agents. I have only taken different forms. So he says, whatever Tanu is the body or the form, Nama, Rupa. Whatever Rupa you want to worship me, do it with Shraddha. I will reward you. So the only message is the starting point for Mukti is Bhava. Bhava is the most important thing in Bhakti. This Kamchor Bhakti is we are only destroying ourselves. We think we are outsmarting. The God cannot be outsmarted. You become a fool at the end of the day. Therefore, I think that purity of intention. That's why in chapter 9, whole chapter, this is only about Bhakti Bhava. The second triplet is all about Bhakti Bhava. That's why he said, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati. That's why he said that and people wrongly interpreted it. Go to the lowest common denominator, say, take some water and throw. No. God has said, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam. Bring down all your rituals to the lowest level and quote that shloka. That means you don't have bhava. When do you say, why did Krishna said, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam? He said, my true bhakta should not suffer if I give him only one option. I may be in a situation where I don't get patra, I'll put pushpa. I'm not in my house, I am in a very difficult place. I will pour water, but deeply think of him. Don't do it every day. That means you don't have bhava. So bhakti bhava is what? Achalam shraddha. So if people are willing to do that, let them do to any of the forms and names that they want. They are only, doing devotion to me. Therefore, it doesn't matter. All that I look for is bhava purvakam karaniyam. That's all. I know you are in different states. I will bless you with that path also. I will be with you and bring you to the next level. I will bring you to the Bahunam Janmanamate. I will do it. Be on the right road and show the right bhava. That's all I'm asking. So God is asking for very simple things. He's not asking for a very complex thing. He doesn't ask for $1 million budget, anything. He's asking for very simple things. Bring achalam shraddha. Whatever is your prakriti, ask for it. It is okay. After a while, I'll clean it up for you. Don't worry. That's what he is saying here. Sataya shraddhaya yuktaha tasyaradhanam ihate labate cha tatha kaman mayeva vihitan hitan. He said, I am only giving here. Mayeva vihitan. He says, Saha taya shraddhaya, with that genuine shraddha, taya shraddhaya yuktaha tasya aradhanam kriyate. You may have chosen a particular path because you are a work in progress in a certain stage. That's okay. Tasya aradhanam ihate tataha labate. Because of that effort that you put, which was genuine. Tataha labate. Come on, you desired something, you will get it. And please understand, I am only giving that to you. That's what the last thing he says. He says, Vihitantan hi. Mayeva vihitantan. I only made it happen. It may be a longer time for me to see me. You will not see your own image in that mirror. It may take some time. You may only see something else there. You take some time. You may not know it, but that doesn't mean that, that I am the ultimate giver is not false. You may not have known it today. That is okay. As long as you come with Shraddha, right? And Yukta, with Shraddha and with that Yukta Bhava, you do that Aradhana of your chosen deity. I am all right. Do your chosen deity, do Shraddha. You get, the deity will bless you, but you don't know. I am the one who is expressing through that. One day you come finally to me, all these, are my forms only. So this is only a path. So in these 2-3 shlokas, what he is saying is the process of Bahunam Janmanam Ante. Why would it take some time for us to become a jnani? That is what he is explaining here. So he is saying prapatti is important. Become a jnani. You will not become a jnani immediately. Don't worry about it. Bring Shraddha. Rest I will take care. I think on that note, we will close it today. So 8 o'clock we will close here and then start continue tomorrow. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shubharatri.